listening to Footscray Live.
Welcome everyone, this is Footscray Live, I'm Ralph Barba and we're broadcasting live from the Footscray City College campus. A wonderful week of live radio with the students or next gen radio stars of Footscray City, that's what I prefer to call them. I've got with me James from Year 9, we've got Grania from Year 8, we've got Santi from Year 9 and also Isaac from Year 10. I call him the Rat Pack. No, I call him the Dream Machine. How are you guys? How are you going?
Yeah, good.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Good, thank you,
I can see it in your eyes. You're really trepidatious about what I'm going to be asking you. I just want to have a chat. Whenever I do these things at schools, I like to have a chat and just tune in with all the younger people who are living the life, and of course us adults are making judgments on you all the time. So I'd like to get the real story from you guys. We'll just start a little bit of your background. So James, tell me what primary school you went to.
Ralph, I went to West Footscray Primary School. It was a very small school at the time, but they've definitely grown. I think there was a little less than 300 kids when I was there. But that was a very nice education, and I met a lot of friends there.
Now, I've just got to ask you about the school itself. How did that prepare you for secondary school? Do you think they did prepare you well for secondary school?
Yeah, I think they did really well. I unfortunately didn't start with many of my friends in my same class when I went into high school, but I was able to make friends pretty easily because I feel like that was something I did a lot at my primary school.
And why Footscray City? There's a few other options. If you travel a little bit further, there's other schools to go to too. Why Footscray City for you?
Well, Footscray City had and still has a really prominent arts program, and I've always been very involved in drama, and so I felt like it was a good place for me.
And Grania, primary school for you? It seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Not as long as everyone else, but a while ago. Yeah, I went to Sunshine Heights, so I live in...
good school, good primary school, yeah.
I live in West Sunshine, so it was like my local school. And I do think that prepared me for high school. I think it was a very different type of education, or like a different type of school to a lot of the schools that my friends went to. Because we had this like new principal who liked to include games and things
What's his name
into
again?
our everyday learning. Mr. Ardavilla.
Yes, I know him well.
Alex Ardavilla,
yeah.
So I do think that was like a good experience.
And Sunshine, you're a Sunshine girl, so Footscray City, that's a little bit of travelling. It's not that far, but I mean, it's a little bit of travelling every day.
It's about an hour by public transport.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why Footscray City?
Well, my brother went here, so I already knew the school, and it was kind of one of the best options, and I thought it was just like a really good school, and I really wanted to go here.
Okay, and Santi, yourself?
Yeah, my primary school life was pretty crazy because I used to live in Sydney back when I was little, and then when I finished Year 1, I moved over to South America in Colombia because that's where my mum's from.
Wow.
And then
how exciting is that?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I did 4 years there, and then once I finished Year 5, I moved to Melbourne, and I had to redo Year 5 because like education was different. And then
Higher standard or lower standard?
lower standard here. Yeah, it's pretty.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy over there. They have like tests like every month.
Okay, so it's a bit old school the way they go about it.
Yeah.
And what happens if you don't do well? They give you old school punishment too.
Nah, but they're a bit more hardcore. Like if you don't do well, you fail, and a lot of kids fail there. So
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's really interesting because I mean, obviously you got the Colombian DNA in you.
yeah.
What's your impression of the perception of Colombia? Have we got it completely wrong? Do you get offended when people talk about Colombia being the drug capital of the world and all that sort of stuff?
Not really. I just find it funny. I guess in a sense it's true, but not really. Not as bad as everyone thinks it is.
Sure. I want to get back to that because I think that's really interesting. Isaac, how are you, mate? How are you going?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You're Year 10. You're
Yes.
one of the elder statesmen in this group, and doing really, really well during the radio program, by the way,
Thank
mate.
you.
So tell us about your primary school days.
Yeah, I went to Altona Primary.
Yep.
In Altona, by the beach, and that was probably some of the best years of my life. It was really good there. Yeah.
And of course, you're living in Altona?
Yeah, in the Altona area.
Okay,
yeah.
so why Footscray City?
Well, I've always been fond of the arts, just like James. I've always been into music and media. So Footscray have I think it's like a TAFE program that goes into, they've got their own little film business that they go into that you can go straight into. And then they've got a brilliant music program here. And actually all my aunties came here. Like it's a family thing. Most of my family, or half my family, went to Altona Primary, and then the rest ended up coming to Footscray as well. So it's a bit of a heritage thing.
So does that make it difficult for you when every Christmas, every Easter, every time you get together with the family, you're all saying, they're all recounting stories of the old Footscray City, and are you the lucky one, or are they the lucky one, or how's
I reckon it's really funny because we'll have the same teachers, but the teachers haven't changed whatsoever. So we'll have the same experiences and we can just have a bit of a laugh over that. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's anything too extreme. It's generally just a good chat.
Everyone agrees it's a good school.
Yeah.
Did anyone have a bad experience here?
If there was a bad experience, it was outweighed by all the positives.
Yeah.
And all schools have bad experiences, and it's just something that you have to go through life.
Absolutely. How many teachers would you have in your whole teaching or learning life?
Yeah.
And you're going to have that odd day with that odd teacher that's going to, you're going to remember as not such a good day.
Yeah.
I used to love joking with guys who had parents who who may have gone to the school where I taught. Yeah. And then you get the kids or the big brothers because I was there long enough, 16-year teacher, and I used to teach in Altona, St. Paul's in Altona, there in Black Shores Road, and I used to love getting the younger brothers of the older brothers when I first started teaching, because you get that when you teach for 16 years. And I used to say, "Oh, your older brother was much better than you." Yeah. I always just press a few buttons around that, and of course that was only joking. Did you ever have that where your auntie was better than you, or especially if the same teachers we're talking about?
I don't tend to have too many people realise, because it's all on my mum's side, so it's all maiden name stuff. But occasionally I'll do a music performance and I'll mention, "Oh, you taught my mum," and they'll be like, "What's your mum's name?" And then I'll mention my mum and they'll list my whole family. It's I suppose it helps me connect with the teachers a bit more as well. And I wouldn't really say my family were really bad eggs either, so it kind of gives me a good little, like if I've first met a teacher, I've got that little jump into the good books straight away.
Your family didn't give them too many problems. Yeah. It's amazing how the reputation follows the next, the next of kin going through the school, if you had a brother or a sister or someone who used to be a bit of a troublemaker. But now, James, tell me how you've changed. You've been here for 3 years, and it's amazing how you come here as an 11 or a 12-year-old, and suddenly, it's only a couple of years, only 3 years, or it's approaching 4 years, but so much can happen in that period of time. You're growing up, you're meeting new friends, there's new experiences and stuff. How have you changed from the James of grade 6 to the James of year 9?
Yeah, so I definitely feel like, obviously having another 3 years of school, I've learnt a lot more, and I feel like I'm a lot more confident than I used to be. I've also, most of my friends that I carried over from primary school have either moved to different schools or split off into different friend groups. So I've maybe only kept about 5 friends from primary school. Yep. But I've met a lot of new people, which is really good. I feel like my confidence has improved a lot.
Fantastic. And Grania, how have you changed?
Oh, so many ways, I guess. Well, physically, I guess I've changed a lot. All throughout primary school, I really just wanted really long hair. I was always striving for the longest hair. And
where did that come from?
I don't know. I just I guess I always kind of had shoulder length hair, and then I was like, you know what? These people have long hair. They look like they're having fun. But that all, I guess, changed in April this year when I decided to shave my head.
Really? So it was complete Ralph Barba style hair, though?
A little bit more, because I have dancing, and they would freak if I went completely. But
so what was that all about?
I guess it mainly, I was on holiday and my hair kept getting tangled and I was sick of brushing it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of it all. And then I did it.
Yeah. Did you run it past your parents beforehand, or
Yeah, my dad was actually the one who shaved my head.
Oh wow! Did you get video of that?
Yeah, there's
oh,
like a whole
terrific.
video.
Oh, you've got to show me photos because I can't. I'm just trying to imagine
No problem.
no hair on the head. So other than that, physically, I suppose what I'm getting at is how have you changed because of Footscray City's influence?
Well, I guess because of Footscray City, I've been able to, because it's such an accepting community and it's such a welcoming community, I've been able to really like grow in myself and like accept myself for things. That makes sense.
I think James talked about having more confidence. What is it about the place that seems to instill confidence in whatever type of person you are? You could be a shy person or a gregarious type person, but it doesn't make you any lesser. You can still be confident. So what do you think?
I think the school really gives you opportunities to stand up and have a voice, and I think that allows people to become more confident, and I think it allows people to grow their confidence.
Fantastic. And Santi, how about you? How have you changed? Don't tell me you've shaved your head too.
Nah.
Because you've got wonderful locks.
Yeah, when I was in primary school, I guess I was in a real rush to grow up. I guess get older, get out of primary school. I wanted to be, like in high school, one of the big boys. But I don't know, recently it's just like, you gotta you gotta make everything like worth it while it lasts, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just can't rush life, and these are probably like the best years of my life, so.
It's really interesting because amongst the teaching profession, often you hear that year 8s and year 9s because there's no VCE around the corner, and you just come in from year 7. So often young people tend to lose their way at year 8 and 9. It's, unless you've got something special to look forward to. Is there something special that makes you jump out of bed every morning that you want to, experience?
Not really. I just wake up, do my thing. Yeah.
Happy to be there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Isaac, how about you? So how have you changed?
I've changed a lot.
Yeah.
In primary school, I was very, very much set on our key values in school. So that was, you had the typical like getting along, resilience, organisation, which that part I was never too great at.
Yeah.
So I was very much sticking to those sort of morals. I mucked around with my friends and I was starting to become a bit more immature. And then when I got to high school, I started, I was hanging out with new friends and I sort of slowly lost that, those morals. Like I still had them, but I didn't show them as clearly because in high school, especially in year 7, you can't really fit in too well with the goody two-shoe act. Sure. And
were you conscious of that though? That you had to sort of be a bit edgy to make the friends, or?
Yeah, after a while, I slowly noticed subtle changes. Like I started swearing differently, and I started I was immature in different ways, and then I suppose it was more for a reaction than anything else. I started getting even more immature, and it grew and grew and grew. Year 7, my grades were okay. Year 8, they started to drop significantly. But I managed to stay afloat because it was all stuff I learned in primary school. Primary school, our school gave us a great program for kids with advanced learning. So I wasn't struggling too much because I'd already learned. I learned stuff that I was supposed to only be learning for the first time this year.
Yep.
So I was already well ahead. So when it came to tests, I'd get pretty good results, but then during class I wouldn't work too much.
Yeah. So you were aware of this, though.
Yeah, I was aware of this.
So you were complacent about your performance because it was easy for you. Is that?
Yeah. Well, I think it got to the point where in primary school it was mainly about it was having fun, but it was you had to do your work because it's school. As I got to high school, I slowly started to come into more of the idea of friendships and kind of slacking off a bit. Well, I think we all get that at some point. We go through just a little phase at least. And so I started mucking around with my mates a lot in class. But I think about year 9, I had some incidents in results of going too far and stuff. We all have those little downturns, I suppose, would be the...
Yep.
And I think it was about term 4 of year 9, I started to pick up my studies again. Because, what was it? I think I had... Actually, Malcolm, he was my English teacher at the time. And he gave us like 24 hours worth of a program called Education Perfect. So nobody did that, but then my mum made me complete everything within the holidays because I had that on top of all the work I hadn't caught up on. And then I'd also gone on a NASA trip for school, so I'd missed out on even more work. So it all just piled up and I didn't get any holidays. It was all schoolwork. And then by the time I got to term 3, I was sort of catching up on it. And term 4, I just went, nah, not handling this. Yeah. And I got everything done. Big turning point. And I think it was all worth it. My grades were pretty up there. And I've learnt to when to be immature. So class time, you can have the odd joke and stuff, but mainly keep it to the yard, all that kind of stuff. But I suppose it's more of an audience thing because I've always loved having an audience. That's where the whole media and the music comes in. And I've always been a bit boisterous in that sense, just trying to get the best reaction I can. So I think I've learnt to control that throughout the time I've been at school. So it's gone from not really noticing that that's what I was wanting to achieve to noticing it, then being able to work on it, and then developing to a point where I'm a lot more, what's the word for it?
A lot more conscious of what's going on?
Yeah, a lot more conscious, and I suppose I'm a lot more... I keep it all a lot more dialed down, a lot more calmer as well. Yeah.
Well, it's an incredible lesson you've learnt because a lot of people in their 20s, 30s, 40s don't have the insight of continuing making the same mistake but not seeing it, not feeling when it's coming. Obviously, you know the triggers, you know what's going if you go down that track, what to do. So tell me, James, tell me what the hot topics are for people your age these days. What's the thing that adults don't understand that you guys are going through that we just don't get?
Number one thing, memes. That's probably...
Well, you don't like them or you love them? Yeah.
Old people and adults in general don't understand them. My friends and I are very up to date with the memes. And I feel like it's, it might be a bit immature, but it's something just fun and entertaining.
Yep.
And, there are millions of people on the internet who play around with memes and make, funny and creative things.
Yeah. Do you make memes?
Not myself.
Because there are programs where you can slot in a bit of video and it does it for you.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm too busy to even look, but I'm always curious of how people put these things together sometimes. So is that the hottest topic for you in your life?
Me and my friends, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's like the only interesting thing that happens to me.
Okay, great. That you got a fairly good life if that's the hottest topic.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Grania, how about you? What's the hottest topic for you?
Oh,
being a young woman growing up, year 8. Okay, you seem very young. In between sort of the primary and upper secondary, but these days I'm running into year 8 students who are thinking really maturely about, especially young women. So, what's the hot topic for you?
Goodness, there's so much. I guess politics is quite a hot topic, like topics such as climate change and feminism and things. My friends and I tend to dwell on those topics and debate about them.
So do you actually talk about that amongst yourselves?
Yeah.
So what's the thread of what your discussion's about? The old white male politicians not listening, or they've got us in this situation? Are you angry? Are you angry that my generation and before my generation has potentially ruined the world for you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
In essence, we are pretty angry, and we express our outrage to each other and try to rationalize it and try to think of good ways to cope with it or take action on it. So, yeah, in essence,
Do you think with the climate strikes and the other protests that young people are in, and do you think that you're making some headway in maybe changing people's minds about how they should approach these things?
I think so, yeah. I think, for instance, Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old climate activist from Sweden, she's doing amazing things, and she started a little over a year ago, and she's been talking with politicians. She's spoken at the UN. She's making headlines, and I do think that she will make a change in the world.
I think if you keep banging down the door, I think the initial thing is, from what I gather, is that people say, "Oh, she's only a kid. You're only your kids. They want a day off school. This is why they're doing it." But they can't deny it if you keep on doing it. And if you're doing it powerfully, people can't. If there's a million kids walking down the streets of Melbourne protesting the same thing, you can't avoid that. So I'm not quite sure where the politicians and decision makers are with things, but you've got a lot of support. You heard Tim Watts today, a lot of support in parts of politics. So it'll be interesting to see. James?
Yeah, people can be and adults in particular can be very condescending towards kids.
Yeah.
And they often think that they don't understand what they're doing or talking about. But, kids, especially at our age, are as mature as they are and, understand what they're doing and, are able to make a change when the adults aren't.
I mean, what can we possibly argue that you guys really, it's a bit of fun for you guys? How can we argue that when the reason why you're upset and angry is because of the world that we've delivered to you guys? So I think, in my mind, you guys have got every right. It's how it, I suppose, in this day and age where there's so much media, so much opinion, you go into the feeds of Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's got some sort of. You're almost your own media platforms, every one of you. How are you going to make yourself a point of difference with what you're sending out compared to everyone else? Because that's what it is. You've got to, out of all the noise, people have got to pick yours out. So, Santi, how about yourself? What's your hot topic?
Yeah, climate change too. That's probably the biggest at the moment. Yeah, I go to a lot of the climate strikes, and especially the last one was pretty cool. Just yeah, it was amazing. Just so many people there, like adults too. They went out of work, and that really shows a lot of people are becoming aware now. And,
Does it make you? I mean, for this to be such a hot topic, does it make you want to do more than just rock up to a protest? Do you want to be an organizer of something, or is that how you feel?
Yeah, it'd be cool to do something like that. Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially young people, would be willing to do that. So,
Grania, yourself, did you want to do more than just turn up to these things, or?
Yeah, I always try to find the smaller strikes if I can, so that I can talk to the people who organise them and see what I can do to help. I think I've signed up to the mailing lists and things so that I know what's going on and I know where to donate if it's needed. For example, for the bushfires that just happened. I think I've signed up for youth groups that are climate activist youth groups. Yeah.
Fantastic. Isaac, what's your hot topic?
Hot topic. Well, I got to say, I'm not overly social, so I tend to stick within my friendship group. I've had these friends since year 7.
Yeah.
We're an all boys class, so we just clicked from there. But yeah, with us, we pretty much just muck around. When we're in the yard, the closest to discussion wise, it'll be moral issues, because we've all got different values. I think one of them that we had is, can you rationalise abortions being legal when the death penalty is illegal? So, and we all had different opinions on that.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that. Occasionally we'll get into an argument of, and then one person will pull facts out of nowhere that don't exist, and then one person will pull out their phone and bring the actual facts out. But otherwise, it's more just, for us, it's more just having a laugh and trying to, I suppose, as boys, trying to get the more dominant, laugh, to get be the funniest. So it gets crazier every day.
So is fake? Are you guys aware of fake news? Does it mean anything to you guys?
Yeah.
When you read something or listen to something, do you critique it in your mind and not just accept it for what it is? Isaac, first.
Well, it really depends on what it is. Sometimes I'll think if a lot of the time it's if I've got the energy. Sometimes I can't be bothered to really analyse it, but a lot of the time I will. I think that really comes down to my English classes where you literally analyse every single word somebody says. Even when after those English classes, when I started writing stories and stuff, I analysed every word as I was writing. So I suppose it really depends on what news it is. If I'm interested in it, then I will really think about it. Sometimes I'll look it up. But otherwise, no, I don't really tend to worry about it too much because, look, a lot of the media, don't get me wrong, is flat out not right or shown from the wrong view, or not wrong view, but a misconceived view. But a lot of the time they have a sense of factual correctness to it, so I tend to just stick to that sort of side of things.
It just seems to be much more in the years I've been involved in the, coming through from your age right to now. There seems to be more acceptance that that people are going to lie. No, they look at you in the eye and they lie. When I was growing up, to lie, I mean that was a really, really bad accusation against you, right? These days, it seems like it's okay to lie when it's the appropriate time. Do you guys grow up thinking it's okay to lie sometimes, or Santi? How about you?
Yeah, it's just a casual thing now. It's like, people just lie.
You sort of, there's no outrage, is there?
It's just a thing.
So you've got to work it out, dude, because some people are really good at lying because they're so good that you think, he must be telling the truth because he's so good at lying. Granny, how about yourself?
I don't know. I guess, people are gonna lie, and you just kind of have to accept it.
Yeah.
And try to find out whether someone's lying. Like if it's one of your good friends, you should be able to tell.
Yeah.
But if it's someone else, you might not be able to.
Yeah. James, yourself?
Yeah, a lot of people lie. I reckon everyone has lied and will continue to
absolutely,
lie.
Absolutely.
And it's hard sometimes to tell the truth because someone might not like the truth or might not believe the truth. But in general, it's always best to tell the truth because then at least everyone knows what's actually true and you can, do something about it in the right way. And I know that some of my friends recently have been having, a bit of drama over, misunderstandings or something like a rumor being spread that might not necessarily be true. And in those situations, if you're upset, you do need to take the initiative to try and solve that problem because it's not all up to the other person.
Absolutely. Here on Footscray Live, we're chatting to James, Gronya, Santi, and also Isaac. It's growing up in the 21st century. This is really a segment for me because I like to get briefed by what's going on in the real world. I don't like to assume that I know what the younger generation or the next gen is thinking and believing. Pressures in your life. Okay, let's start with you, James. What's the thing that really challenges you and puts you under pressure in your life?
Oh, okay. So as far as pressure in school, I am in the accelerated learning program and I came into it this year. So I had a bit of a jump from year 8 general learning to year 9 accelerated learning. And so this year has been quite stressful for me. Trying to get on top of all my schoolwork, and I've managed, but I'm nervous going into later years, and how much work that's going to be.
But you've got to remember though, they don't just pick anyone to go into the accelerated learning. There must have been something you did. So how did they actually measure your abilities and allow you to join that group?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. When I was first coming into the school, I took the accelerated learning program test.
Yeah.
And they called me back for an interview, but I didn't get in. And then in year 7, a few people went in, but I didn't go in. And then in year 8, I moved into a class and I didn't really know anyone, so I didn't have many friends. And I think Isaac was saying that some of the reasons that his grades started dropping was because he was, mucking around with his friends in class.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have many friends in that class, I was just doing my work, and I did very well that year, and I'm assuming that's why they've bumped me up to the accelerated learning program.
So it's really not the ability, the intellectual or academic ability. It's really your maybe your habits and stuff to get on top of things. And,
Yeah.
Attitudes.
Yeah. But look, you're only year 9. You'll be able to sort that out.
Yeah,
I mean, really, I think if you're recognising that that's a skill that you need to learn, this is the time to know. You don't want to find out at year 11 or 12 that you can't organise yourself. So, that's great. Roger, how about yourself? What pressure does a year 8 girl at Footscray City College feel?
Sorry. I would say not that much pressure, because if there is pressure put on me personally, it's mainly by my teachers, and I try not to dwell on it, because I just think if you're putting too much pressure on yourself, then the end result isn't going to be that good, and it isn't going to be what you are hoping for. So I try not to put too much pressure on myself, and I try to stay away from any pressure put on me so that I don't get too stressed.
Yeah, it's great that you can recognise that early, because a lot of people don't recognise that at your age. So that's fantastic. Santi, what puts you under pressure?
Nothing much really, apart from myself. I guess I'm kind of lazy, and I have a pretty short attention span, and I don't get a lot of work done. So it's kind of like just myself saying, oh yeah, you got to get this done a lot of the time. And yeah.
So what's I think it's report writing time right now. What's the normal? Is it that Santi gets distracted in class too easily, that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it has all the potential in the world, but gets distracted in class. Yeah, I've written a number of those
Classic,
reports over the years.
I've got those all the time.
Isaac, what puts you under pressure?
I've got a lot of things. So I've got anxiety, so I will crack under pressure from multiple things. I've got schoolwork. I'm doing advanced. I'm doing maths methods next year, so I was doing advanced maths this year. So that was pretty intense. And I've got, in relation to school, it's I suppose trying to keep those relationships that you had with your teachers and then with your peers, trying to make sure that everybody still respects you, and then making sure that there's nothing wrong, and then that constant paranoia that, and then you've got home life and stuff. I've got a split up family, so I'm travelling from one side of the city to the other every day, and I've got a lot of extracurricular activities as well. So I've got, if anything, I probably put a lot of the pressure on myself, like Santi said. But yeah, so it really varies. It depends on the day. Sometimes I've just got a lot on my plate. Sometimes it's a lot on, but it's kind of fun at the same time. Like if I've got a media project I have to do.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the day, but it does vary.
Do you find that you're at your best when you're most worried about something, though? Yeah, that you're so focused on getting it done. Because a lot of people talk about, the fact that they get really nervous or they get really stressed and stuff, but often they use that stress level to get the thing done.
Yeah.
That urgency to get it done. Is that how you feel sometimes?
Well, sometimes yes. Yeah. It really does depend. So sometimes it'll just build up, and I'll be like, I'm done with this, and I'll just, like Sandy said, with the short attention span, a lot of the time what I'll do is I'll set myself a section of work. I'll have, all right, finish 5 questions, bang, 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 get them all out. Then I'll play games for 5 minutes.
Yep.
They'll do that. And that's sort of sometimes not the best attitude, but it'll be my stress reliever. So I'll have moments where I'm stressed and then moments where it's just I'm just focused. So it goes from stressed from all surroundings to stressed on one particular thing. And it's when it's stressed on the one particular thing that I'm able to focus.
Yep.
Because I'm not thinking about anything else, I'm only focusing on this. And that's when I'll do something like put in my earphones and listen to music. And just get everything done.
But it's a great skill to know. Again, having insight at your age about something like that, that's fantastic. You've got to get through that hurdle where you're trying to understand it and how it's holding you back and stuff. But really, later on in life, it's an invaluable lesson for you to learn. Just on the point about resilience. And look, Isaac's mentioned something about, anxiety and so forth. But my generation and older look at your generation and say, you got no resilience. You fall apart at the moment of pressure. Now, I'm not making a judgment whether you guys, experience anxiety or anything like that. But do you think that's unfair? When you look at the way we grew up or your parents grew up compared to what you guys are facing, do you think the accusation that you guys are flakes, that you've got no resilience, you think that's really, really unfair? I'll start with you, Isaac.
Yeah, well, I think flat out, like things like that, there are a lot of kids who are like that. But if you look around, like even just the radio crew we've got here today, everybody's having a good time. And I think it's generalizations like that get people mad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I make generalizations all the time, like constantly. That's what I'm known for a lot of the time. But it's some of the ones that have negative impacts. If it's as a joke and the people who do hear it understand it's a joke, you know what? Sure, that's cool. It all comes down to audience. But when you're making sweeping generalizations and it's something that can be seen as negative, and our society is very uptight, politically correct. So anything can be perceived as negative now. But the things that are clearly negative from all perspectives, for example, making a joke about a war in Israel. Not many people are going to find that funny. No. And the people that do, there's probably going to be some sort of issue, or maybe they're coping with this, that in some way. But those sort of generalizations that are pretty much strictly negative, I think, probably aren't the best ones to make, especially when you're making broad statements and you've got things like radio and social media where you're able to just, with a click of a button, it's out there.
Yep.
And I'm not sure about you guys, but if you have one about specifically like a generation like us, and it's just strictly negative, and it sounds, I think the thing that upsets me the most is it's almost always closed-minded. There's no acceptance for change. So it's like, it's not we can prove ourselves to show we're not wrong. No, we're wrong. There's no grey area. It's black and white. Yeah.
So getting back to the point about, is it a lack of understanding? Is it unfair for my generation and older to say that you guys are flakes? Santi, what's your response to that?
I think it is unfair because, they grew up under different circumstances, and it's like you can't really make fun of us for that, or like say we're flakes because, we grew up differently.
Can you tell me about the difference? Because obviously you guys are conscious of the difference. What was it about how your parents grew up or older people compared to what you're growing up that makes it tougher for you guys?
Back then, I guess it was pretty different. Nowadays, it's, I guess, safe in a way. It's like you can, there's a lot more awareness about things like racism or homophobia and stuff like that. But back then, there was a lot of violence and yeah.
So, are you saying that the fact that you haven't been allowed to take risks in growing up, because we, of course, my generation is just playing the streets till 10 o'clock at night, and we weren't likely to be kidnapped by a pedophile or attacked by anyone. Footscray at different times was pretty weird back then too.
Yeah.
But do you think it's that fact that you guys have been sort of wrapped in cotton wool a little bit? They cared more about what you did every moment of the day, that has affected you guys? Maybe hasn't prepared you better for the tough parts of life?
Yeah, I guess, but we still learn, and we learn how to deal with those tough parts. And at the end of the day, we grow and we stop becoming the flakes or something. And I don't know. It's pretty unfair to call us that.
Yeah, Grania, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's not just unfair. I think it's just flat out wrong. Because if you think about it in a political sense, I guess, think about the climate strikes and how politicians haven't paid that much attention. But by showing we're resilient, by keeping on going to the climate strikes and keeping on holding the climate strikes, then we're showing that we are resilient and we don't just crack under the pressure of the whole world watching, I guess.
Sure. James, yourself?
Yeah, I feel like building on to what Santi was saying, back in the day, everyone was taught to be very similar, and there was, a lot of stereotypes around people, big generalizations, because, people were taught that, you had to be like this, and in a more modern world, there is, and especially with improved technology, there is a lot more freedom to be yourself and do what you want. And there was a lot of racism and homophobia, but nowadays, especially amongst younger generations, most of that's completely accepted, and there's the older generations are the ones who are doing that more often and criticized for that because they were brought up in a world where that sort of stuff wasn't wasn't the same. And I feel like we are, in our education as well and our upbringing, we are a lot, we have it a lot easier. We've got, and especially in Australia, we're in a first world country, so we've got, we can do pretty much most things that we want to do. And so older generations, I don't know, might feel, I guess, jealous of the younger generations in a way. They might also just be a bit confused of the differences between the generations. I definitely don't think it's okay for the older generations to be criticizing the younger generations on their resilience because, totally different experiences once again.
Tell me about social media. Is it right to say that all young people are wedded to social media? They have to have their phones with them all the time. They can't. It's like another appendage. Is that just a sweeping generalisation about young people these days? What are your thoughts about that, James, of the social media? And I mean, do you need to have it all the time, or is that just a bit of a myth?
Yeah. So I personally am not very involved in social media at all. I got Instagram, which is probably the biggest social media amongst young people, only this year, and I don't use it for more than a few minutes a day, and I could very easily live without it. It's something that I only do because other people are very active there, and I want to try and keep involved in their lives.
Yep.
And I feel like I enjoy having the privilege of a phone, and it's something that's entertaining and educational. But in the end of the day, it's not something that I need. And they're introducing the mobile phone restrictions at schools in 2020, and I do feel like that's going to be pretty frustrating for a lot of young people because they, and myself included, enjoy having phones readily available, in case there's something that they want to, search up on the internet, or, they want to message someone. But I definitely think it's unfair to generalize that all young people are, attached to their phones all the time. And, a lot of my friends as well don't have any platforms of social media. So,
Okay.
And they're still doing fine.
Okay, so the whole point, you've proved a lot of adults wrong, that you need to have it, or else you wither away. Santi?
I think what James is saying is right. Yeah, a lot of people, like young people, don't need it, but it's also an issue as well. Like, I know a lot of young people that are also not addicted, but like use it a lot, and myself included.
When's it look bad? What does it look? What does using social media badly look like?
It's like when you're not doing anything and just like you stay on it for hours and hours, like on your free time. Like,
You got to check it every second to see what's going on.
That's
Yeah.
when it's
And
a
how does that
problem.
affect you?
It just takes a lot of time out of your day when you could be doing more productive stuff, and you're just sitting there, just like scrolling away at like just stuff.
Grania, your thoughts about social media?
I think that for many people, social media is a very healthy thing, and I think that it's a great way to stay in contact with people if they live overseas, or if like you don't see them all the time. But I think for some people, it's an issue of like self-image and body image, and I think that for me, I think that social media starts to get unhealthy when you feel like you need to edit every picture that you're going to post until you look like the perfect person, and until all of your flaws are gone. Because I just don't think that's a very healthy image to have of yourself.
Is that? I suppose that's a really good point. Us adults tell the stories of young girls being pressured by the media and how you're supposed to look. Do you really feel that pressure, and do your friends feel that pressure?
Personally, I don't really feel that pressure, because I think that if you don't have the same body type as anyone else, it doesn't matter, because every single person on this whole entire earth is different, and you're going to look different. And if we think that we have to edit ourselves, then what's to stop them from thinking that they don't have to edit themselves? And what's to stop them from just completely editing themselves and not actually having that body in real life?
James, yourself? Isaac. Tell me your thoughts about social media.
Social media. I generally use it as a platform for communication now, and mainly was discussing memes earlier. That's the only reason why I tend to use it now. I wouldn't say I'm addicted to it or anything like that. I use it when I do have nothing else productive to do. Recently, I ran out of phone data, so I've been on the train and stuff. I've started playing solitaire. So I've found healthier
That's
ways.
a game for my generation, not your generation.
Yeah. I've found I've been finding healthier ways to be able to manage my time when I am bored. Because, as I mentioned earlier, I can be a bit boisterous. I always feel like I need to be doing something. So whether it be, and I'm not going to have my guitar everywhere I go, or stuff like that. I'm not going to always have like something I want to make. There's always going to be some time where if I'm in the car, if I've forgotten my book, which I haven't read for a while. I probably should start reading a bit more. But I find it as a good thing just to, especially when, like I mentioned earlier, with the whole stress thing, I think it's good to just, I use it as a bit of a brain killer. So if I'm a bit stressed or something, I'll just use it to let my mind go numb, which does prove a point in a way. Like, it's not always 100% for your health, but I use it as a way, probably not the best way to cope with stress, but I use it to relieve some sense. Just it's good to sort of melt away into, like, a lot of people might have a nap or something, but because I'm always thinking, it's always good for me to just kind of fade out just for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One last one, guys, before we go. I've had a terrific chat with you guys. I've been riveted by your responses. The Footscray Live journey. I'd love to find out why you put your hand up to do this, and what are your thoughts about what it's doing for you, James? First.
Yeah, so I am very interested in the arts and media, and I've been in a bunch of the school plays, and I've always, I auditioned for a film once, didn't get in.
Oh, yeah. What, a Footscray City film?
No.
Oh, no, another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm very interested in that, and radio is a little bit of a less stressful way to get involved in media because you're not.
There's not the visual.
Yeah. I find it hard to watch myself, and so
the problem with radio is even after 25 years of me doing it, I hate listening to my own voice.
Yeah.
Which is another problem.
Yeah.
So.
But I feel like Footscray Live is really helpful because I'm planning on doing work experience at a radio station in year 10. And I feel like Footscray Live is a good bridge into that, and it's a good start in radio.
Is it what you thought it was going to be, or what surprised you, or what have you learnt from it all?
Yeah, so it's it's somewhat what I thought it was going to be. It's been really fun, and I've met a few more people, and I've improved my confidence when talking in front of an audience a little bit.
Fantastic. And Gonya?
I've always really enjoyed listening to the radio. In my family, where we subscribe to Triple R and PBS and everything, and so I've been listening to it since I came out of the womb, basically.
And you're just wondering what would it be like talking on radio?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you're doing that right now. So any surprises, anything that you've learnt that you didn't know happened behind the scenes?
I feel like I've learned a lot. I learnt the hand signals and how to communicate like silently. I've learnt how to like interview people and how to attempt not to broadcast dead air.
Yeah, absolutely. Santi, how about yourself?
My English teacher, she told me about it, and I decided to check it out, and I just kept going. There's been times where I've kind of been like, oh, don't really want to do it because I guess feel a bit anxious sometimes. Don't want to mess up on live, and but it's a good experience. Yeah, it's pretty chill in a good way, and
Well, we're going live right now.
yeah. So
And it's amazing. I love the medium of radio because we've just had a chat for 45 minutes, and you wouldn't even know that we're broadcasting around the world. Anyone can hear us anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about radio. Isaac, yourself?
James was saying earlier about work experience. So I came to Malcolm because he was my media teacher in Year 9. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm very interested in film. So I spoke to him and asked if there was anything I might be able to get into. And he said, not sure, come back to me in a week. Came back to him, he goes, not sure, come back to me in a week. I'm like, all right, well, this is getting a bit silly now. I go back to him in a week and he's like, actually, hang on, I think I do have something. And he mentioned this.
Yeah.
And I said, would I be able to do the film side of it? And he's like, yeah, you probably should. So we started doing that. And in our first podcast, I started doing that a bit. But when I first started actually doing the interviews and recording myself, I felt I think I felt a little bit more confident with that. And when I was younger, I used to want to be on radio. Like that was my thing, because my stepdad, we'd always listen to Triple M. Yeah. Triple M, working in the car, Triple M, driving in the car, Triple M. It's so I always imagined myself doing that. And after doing this course, I started to, when I listened to Triple M, I'd actually start to pick up on the little techniques that they use that we use here. So, as I said earlier, with the whole analysing, that's what I've kind of started to do. Started just analysing every single thing, and it's really funny because it's felt really good that I understand things a lot better, and it kind of just clicks. But I reckon it's been a really fun experience. It's been work experience for me. So yeah, I think it's and like Santi, I haven't seen since like he was in year 7. We used to hang out in year 7 for a bit, and now I hang out now. And a lot of these people I've never met in my life
Oh,
before.
really?
And
Okay.
just hang out now, meeting new people. It's a great thing. And yeah, I think just the idea of having fun and being able to expand your social life and learning new skills as well. That's a big thing. And yeah, I think I'll be able to take these skills onto things later on in life, and this sort of thing will help with my resume and stuff for jobs coming up. And yeah, I think it's been a great experience, and I think it's really helped me. Yeah.
Good on you guys. Well, it's been a great pleasure speaking to you today. We've gone for 50 minutes, and I reckon we could probably go on for a couple more hours, but probably not. But anyway, thanks for joining me, James, year 9, Grania, year 8, Santi, year 9, and also Isaac, year 10. These are stars, the next-gen radio stars on Footscray Live. You've got a big week of radio this week. We've only got through three-quarters of the way through day 1. Got a big week. Grania's just looked at me real funny, but she'll be running interviews by herself by the end of the week. But this is Footscray Live. I'm Ralph Barba. We've just had the growing up in the 21st century, and there'll be more after the break.
You're listening to Footscray Live.